I prefer music.
Ah,
I
but
really like I really like the song that I was listening to, even though most people can't understand the lyrics.
is
Could
it
you
about
understand the
love?
lyrics?
Most probably, is it sad or is it like a party song where everyone is happy, celebrating about?
It's a sad song, I guess. Like the lyrics are sad, but if you listen to it, you're like, yeah,
Oh,
you know?
yeah, yeah,
Did like you want to listen to it again?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oop, my freaking phone fell. Sorry.
But like, have you ever
Let me
tried?
see.
Who's your favorite singer?
I don't know. I listen to everything.
You
I love
listen to
everything.
everything. That's good. I understand you. I
I
feel you.
do. Let's see. This is the song. I love this song. Hopefully my computer doesn't like die, cause I need to put my phone on the charger. I love this song. It's so good. Even though you're probably not gonna be able to understand it very well. Sorry, I'm moving my phone like this. Oh, I'll do
It's
it
not
that
a
way.
big deal. Let's just talk about life. I want to see
Ah,
how good you are. When I was of your age, I was not as mature as you are. So it would be interesting to talk to you.
yeah. See,
Oh, yeah, I've heard this song, man.
have you?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
love this song. Can you understand it?
No, I don't understand it, but it's like a motivational song or something.
Yeah, kinda. Let me. This is my favorite part right here. This part. I'm the water loneliness. I hold my breath. Just spoke with that be saying hope for the best. Told them I'm rubbing my neck. Then I woke up choking from my head and my chest.
Yeah, I've heard this song. I'm
Somehow I
quite
managed
sure.
to function and open every day. Got a lump in my throat. Fucking control. Fuck all these old nuts humps in their throat.
I think some bodybuilders have this song on their videos. The people who do bodybuilding, they put on these songs on those status of body. Have you seen like videos of people going to the gym and exercising? Like this is the music that is in the like the transition videos I've seen of. Is I might be wrong, I guess. Hmm. ओके नेटवर्क चला गया भैया हेलो होला यनीरा इसabel होला it's very cold today, it's like really cold today. I song music
Did you see that
playlist
guy?
favorite.
No,
Hmm.
I want on the same time as Callie.
Cole.
Is your name Tavion Cole? What?
Wait, how?
Want a second? So would you want a second?
Don't say that. Okay.
Alhamdulillah, tomorrow night I'm gonna smash your boy, guys. I'm gonna smash your boy.
How old are you? I'm 20. Okay.
Why are you depressed? Is your exam tomorrow? What is this behavior, man? Okay, guys, have a great day.
Cold red, cold red.
First time that I ever saw porn, I was 13 years old, and I was actually in class next to one of my friends, and we were on the computers in this class, and he told me to go onto Google and to search up Kayla Collins clean. Kayla Collins is like some some girl who takes like nudie pictures, and this was back 12 years ago. And I searched it up, and it was just like this woman posing provocatively. She's in like some cafe. She's got like cream all over her titties and everything.
What the fuck?
What's up, my
Hi, Daddy.
bitch-ass goats? We have Ote Hoodie
Hi,
rocking.
badass. Hi,
That's
badass.
better. At least don't try to play games.
Hi,
with me.
fucking badass Indian fucking bitch ass, pussy ass, fat ass, bitch ass,
Oh
cunt.
my god.
Get a fucking visa, go to America, go the fuck back to your country.
Okay. What do I do after that? ओ भाई कैसे हो? चलो कोई तो अच्छे मिले.
Stock shoploft.com. Oh, valid.
I think some of it's great. And
Yo!
some of it is
Hello.
What's up, dude?
I'm good, bro.
Fuck you.
probably really bad.
Hey, I'm Andrew Hales. We're at Vanderbilt University here in Nashville today. We're asking people about nofap and pornography. Please ask that like button why it's being so quiet, and when it says it's just tired, say no, it's because you're a shy, awkward person, and you shouldn't have come to this party, and you're so reserved and you're boring. Say all that to the like button. Gage, do you look at pornography?
How do you, girl?
Have.
Have you heard of nofap?
Yes.
Do you feel like that's valid? Like you get more confidence and motivation from abstaining from porn, masturbation, orgasm?
So far this year, I've gone 7 months.
Masturbation, orgasm.
So far this year, I've gone 7 months
Oh, wow.
without pornography,
7
and I
months.
felt a lot better. Just about like doing things, getting things done. There's a new level of enjoyment in the small things.
Very nice. There. So you do feel like pornography has a negative effect on society?
Yeah, it makes like you have like a microwave level of enjoyment. Like I just want quick enjoyment. Like you're kind of, I don't know. You don't really look at the small things like getting homework done, talking to people every day, like building relationships. You don't look at that the same whenever you have pornography in your life, in my opinion, in my experience.
All right. You feel like it's helped with working out and playing football even?
Yeah, you build confidence in that type of stuff.
All right. Cool. Phil, do you watch porn?
I do, yeah.
How often?
Every couple of days, I suppose.
You feel like it's bad for you?
No, not at all.
Have you heard people say it's bad?
Not where I'm from, no.
You're from England?
Yeah, I'm from England, yeah.
London?
Just north of London in Hertfordshire.
Let's see. You never heard of nofap?
Never heard of that, no.
You go on Reddit?
No, I don't actually. I downloaded it once and I didn't really understand it, so I just left it.
It took me like years to get into NoFap.
Yeah.
I mean Reddit. So NoFap is this movement about not jerking off, and supposedly gives you these benefits of more confidence, more motivation, etc.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make any sense to you?
Not really. No.
It's kind of hogwash.
Yeah.
Or you feel like it's like culty.
I've just never heard of it. Never even thought about it, to be fair. So, yeah.
Sarah, do you look at pornography?
No, not.
People are brutal in here.
Have you ever?
We're very just unlikable. Yeah. What's up?
Hello. How was your day?
Fine. Good. I mean, she found out her favorite actor died, so I mean, not one of her favorite days, but
Yeah, I heard that guy. He was in Friends. What was his name though? I don't remember his name.
Matthew Perry.
Yeah, he died. So you guys study or something?
No, not really. I mean, it will be in like movies, TV shows, stuff like that, but no.
Do you feel like it's has a negative effect on society?
I do think it does, yeah.
Like how so?
I think that in certain ways,
He's gonna rape us.
people, especially like younger generations, the internet's accessible to everyone, and younger kids can go on and see stuff like this, and I think that it objectifies people, and certain genres of pornography might be destructive to the way people are viewing sexual partners. So I think it does have a negative impact in that sense.
All right. And so you've never heard of NoFap?
No.
Do you go on Reddit at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this huge subreddit of guys. Do you think it's valid, or do you think it makes sense that if a guy abstains from porn masturbation, then it'll help him?
No, he is very kind and helpful to people. I'm trying to be helpful to people, but it's not easy every day. He was very kind.
You really look like Jesus. God damn. And the clothes that you're wearing, like it seems that you're Jesus.
Oh God, he was very helpful and nice, and as you know, he was a very good person. He could control his temptations. He was very close to the creator of this universe. You know, I still try. I'm not there. क्या कर सकते हैं भाई?
Overall, with confidence and success.
I mean, it's hard for me to say from that perspective. I don't know really what their take is. I think that there are instances where pornography should be allowed and people should embrace their like sexual sides. So I don't think that pornography should be like completely banned. I think there are some negative sides of it, but I don't know exactly what their argument is, and I could see this being like there could be. Without full information, I don't know if I can say I fully agree or disagree with them.
Emily, do you look at pornography?
No.
Never ever?
No.
Have you heard of NoFap?
No.
Do you feel like pornography has a detrimental effect on society?
Yes.
How come?
Just because don't know. My friend had she read this study about how people who constantly watch porn, it affects their relationships with actual people, and something with the brain, it changes something in the brain. But I don't know if that's actually true, but I did hear that, and I don't know, I just don't think it's good, because it also has unhealthy standards for what people assume sex to be like. So that
everybody looked at me.
Very nice. You watch pornography?
I've done, yes.
How often?
Not very often.
You heard of NoFap?
NoFap?
Yeah, abstaining. Yeah.
Like currently or in general?
Yeah. Have you ever tried to do it?
Yeah, but I don't choose to do it. It's just if I don't feel like it, I will.
You play games?
Yeah, bro.
Do you feel like it's made a difference when you?
What you play?
FIFA, Last of Us, God of War Ragnarok, and Uncharted. Played those games.
That's a pretty fun game. You bought the new COD? New Call of Duty?
I'm thinking of buying Spider-Man 2, but not Call of Duty right now. Is it good?
Well, if you, it's not bad, but the game takes no skill.
Okay.
But don't buy the don't spend $70 on multiplayer. Just
Mhm.
buy the free one and then play Warzone. If you like it, then you can
Yeah. ब्रदर कैसे हो? अमन मैं
buy
ठीक
it
हूँ.
if you want. But I mean, that's if you.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Thanks for the suggestion, bro. You're a very kind person, bro. Stay the same, bro.
Thank you.
यार आज मैं सुबह आया कमरे में पढ़ाई करने के लिए, मुझे इतनी ठंड लगी ना यार, मैं पढ़ाई ही नहीं कर पाया. पता नहीं क्या हो गया भाई. आज इतनी ठंड थी ना, सुबह मैं आया भी पढ़ाई करने के लिए, इतनी ठंड थी कि स्टार्ट ही नहीं कर पाया यार. बहुत डर लग रहा है. कल से कोई प्लान भी नहीं है भाई, मतलब पढ़ाई करने के लिए. पता भी नहीं है कि अब मैंने कम्बल ले आया कमरे में, अब पता नहीं कल से कब पढ़ाई कर पाऊंगा सुबह. इतनी ठंड लग गई सुबह यार. प्लान नहीं किया था ऐसा होगा. अब कल से थोड़ा सेफ खेलूंगा. कम्बल ले आया कल से, होपफुली 9 बजे सुबह से. यार ऐसे शौक प्ले स्टेशन लाने का मुझे थोड़ा बुरा फील नहीं हो रहा. वैसे लैपटॉप ले आता ना तो अपने कमरे में पढ़ सकता था, वहाँ पे कम्बल के अंदर ब्लैंकेट के अंदर पढ़ सकता था. बट यहाँ पे यार थोड़ी ठंड है यार. अब ब्लैंकेट ले आया, अब दुआ करता हूँ कि कल से पढ़ पाऊँ भाई.
Did try it?
Like abstaining for a whole
Yo,
month.
bro, what's good?
Hey bro, what's up?
I'm chilling, bro. Oh my god, I'm nice. Oh my.
बंगाल में तो बहुत ही गर्मी है. अरे यार लकी हो आप लोग, एटलीस्ट आपको सुबह सुबह ठंड नहीं लगती पढ़ाई करते टाइम यार. अबे यार ये तो भाई अबे यार.
What?
Study about how like people who like constantly watch porn.
Month. Maybe, but I wouldn't dare to say yeah. Of course, there's a big difference.
Yeah, you feel like it's a kind of pseudoscience?
The idea of abstaining to get some sort of change in your life, or nah, I don't think that's actually a science or anything.
Okay, cool. Do you feel like pornography has any bad effects on society?
Yeah, I feel pornography can have devastating effects, especially if it's presented to child in early stages or teenagers. They can really get an idea of how sex works when actually they should experience that themselves. So yeah.
All right, what's your name?
I'm Drew.
Oh, sweet. I'm Andrew.
Nice to meet you.
You too. Do you look at pornography, Andrew or Drew?
I personally do not.
How come?
I think it's kind of
No
toxic
hate
to
for
your
anyone.
own,
Peace.
Your own mind. I have in the past before, and it had negative impacts on my mentality of kind of life in general, and it's a little frightening of how much it can impact not just like the way you see sexual like acts, but kind of everything like relationships and family and personal commitments. So I personally do not.
All right. You heard of NoFap?
I have, yes.
Is that what you kind of sparked your abstaining from it?
Yeah, I heard of the movement. And it was that in kind of a combination of I became a lot busier, right? I came to Vanderbilt, and I mean, there's not really time to like, I don't know, spend like watching pornography, I guess. And I mean, I think NoFap is a great movement, and it's helped a lot of people.
Do you feel like you notice a difference, like you're more motivated and more confident and happier when you abstain from PMO?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know the science behind it, but definitely I feel increased energy levels, more positive mindset, and just a lot of like kind of
Yeah, I do.
intrusive thoughts have kind of disappeared after committing to NoFap. So
Sweet. Stephanie, do you look at pornography?
I don't.
Do you feel like it has a negative effect on society?
Probably not for most people. I think it depends on exactly what it's depicting and why somebody watches that in particular.
Nobody had ever scientific.
I think it serves a role in society, certainly. I think some of it's great and some of it is probably really bad.
Okay. Have you heard of NoFap or that movement at all, or abstaining?
I have.
Do you feel like it has validity, like it's a real thing, like it actually makes you more confident?
I don't know. I haven't participated in it. Like I said, it's just not something that I personally do, so I don't know that I can say. I've definitely heard some really great things about it, and I've heard some really, really, really terrible ones, but I did hear some things about how it might contribute to, or not contribute, I can't remember whether it was a factor in or a symptom of like an incel group.
Ugly little man.
I
Yeah.
like direct, like, what would you call it? Direct evidence or direct like interaction with it. So that is something that I heard secondhand from one person one time. But I mean, whatever works for someone, like as long as you're not harming anybody else, by all means, fucking go for it.
Dylan, have you heard of NoFap?
I have heard of it, yes.
You think it's valid?
I'm not really sure.
Have you ever tried it?
For like short time, not like permanent, no.
Okay. Did you feel like, how short of a time?
Maybe like a couple weeks.
Did you feel any different, like more confident, or I don't know?
I don't know. It may have just been placebo.
All right. Do you feel like pornography has a negative effect on society as a whole?
I'm not really sure. I think definitely it can, if people are, in moderation. It's fine, I think.
All right. Riley, do you feel like pornography has a negative effect on society?
I don't think so. I mean, yes, in a way. It depends on, I think, who's in it. As in, like, obviously child pornography is very wrong, and I think that I have not...
More confidence and motivation if they abstain from pornography. You feel like that's valid?
I think it could be. I think it depends on the person.
Do you look at porn?
I do not.
No.
Do you feel like it's has a net, it's bad for society?
Yeah, I mean, overall it is, yeah, because it's slow, kind of like tearing away at kind of, the mental scape of kind of how people see the world too. It's like slowly degrading of everything.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's not productive for how we view each other and how we view the worth of intimacy in relationships too. Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of NoFap?
I have not.
It's like abstaining from masturbation, all these health benefits.
Okay.
You never heard of that?
Not that particularly, but I know, like, I follow some business pages on Instagram, and now they've been like, hey, like, look at your
What's up
influencers,
with you,
and,
bro?
hey, like, you should stop
I'm
watching
fine,
this.
bro. How are you?
Huh?
I'm fine. How
So
are
the fact
you?
that, like, the business world is now...
I'm perfect.
How was your day?
Good.
saying, hey, like, this is now a strain on your mental productivity is phenomenal.
Hello.
Interesting. What do you do for a living?
Do you like
So
black
I'm
people?
a billing specialist.
Do I like black people? Yeah. I feel bad about my life if I start hating someone, honestly.
Oh, that's tough.
For a healthcare company out of Philadelphia. So.
All right. Do you feel like that has some validity? The NoFap?
I think it does. I think it's, I don't know. It kind of comes back to me. It comes back to the
Bookie
understanding of like,
The unibrow is terrible.
sex in relationships has a rightful place, and if we're trying to complete that on our own, we kind of take away the relationship aspect of sex and relationship.
Pornography. Yeah. No, well, he is. I'm just a YouTuber.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah.
Investigated this until an incredible guy I got to know called Professor Tim Kasser, who's at Knox College in Illinois. And Professor Kasser made some really important breakthroughs in this. So there's two ways. Everyone listening to your show has two kinds of motivation in their life, right? We're all a mixture of both. So imagine if you play the piano in the morning because you love playing the piano, it gives you joy, right? That would be what's called an intrinsic reason to play the piano, right? You're not doing it to get anything out of it. That's the thing you love, right? It sounds like jiu-jitsu was like that for you. Writing is like that for me. Everyone will have something in their life that just gives them joy as they do it, right? Okay, now imagine you played the piano not because you love it, but because your parents are massively pressuring you. It's their dream for you. Or in a dive bar that you can't stand to pay the rent, or to impress a woman, right? That would be what's called an extrinsic reason to play the piano, right? You're not doing it because that thing gives you joy. You're doing it to get something further down the line, right? Now, obviously, we're all a mixture of both. But Professor Kasser showed a couple of really interesting things. Firstly, the more you are driven by extrinsic values, the more your intrinsic values are starved, the more likely you are to become depressed and anxious by quite a significant amount. He also showed, as a culture, as a society, we have become much more driven by these junk values, right? We've become much more driven by...
Well, there was so...
Oh wait, was that?
I'll never be able to speak on it. I don't know nothing like this relationship. I never have in my life. I never had, even my parents, even my father, you know, I never had what I got with her, which is, you know, to enter my life to be with me, she had to take a loss. She had to like eat shit to be with me. To be with me, she had to re-enter being a part of my life. She had to take a hit.
What's up?
Hey,
You got uni, bro?
Yeah.
That's, no
Yeah.
way, that's cool. You're cool.
Okay.
Stay
That's
you.
very kind of.
Be cool.
I don't want to be cool, bro. Just want to be consistent with my studies, bro. Honestly.
Yeah. Well, you have a good day.
In ways that I've spoken about before, and in other ways too, probably, you know. And what I know love to be is selfless, loving action. And I've never known anything as loving or as selflessly active as what this woman did for me in my life. She showed up for me at a time
Can you
when,
hold it while I
mean,
pee?
this is the first time I saw her. I've been estranged for like years because of my jealousy. She went and did a movie with another actor, and I thought she was cheating on me. So then I cheated on another. It was just a fucking mess. It was all weak shit, little boy shit, like nonsense. And we hadn't talked for 2 years when all this shit hit, and I wound up at this rehab, right, in Utah, and they do something called Family Week, and every week on.
Are you guys preparing for Halloween?
Yes. Yeah. Wait, just
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween.
So the other day, Pornhub released their 2022 year in review. You can almost think of this like a shareholder's letter to the fappers of the world. And I don't want to get into the gory details of this thing, but I do want to point out a few things. So first of all, the United States is blowing out the rest of the world in terms of porn consumption, with the UK coming in second place. I mean, this isn't even close. America is just blowing everybody out here. Like, India has 1 billion people and they're not even on the list. Look, I'm an American. I love when America wins, but this is one thing I would be totally fine with America taking the L in. The top star of the year was this woman named Abella Danger, and she got over.
What are you guys doing?
No?
It
Okay,
looks
my
like you're
child.
sad and happy at the same time. Don't worry. I wish you peace and happiness in life. And a good family relation. Good relation with your family. Everything will be fine.
Over 1.6 billion views on the year, and there were, I think I counted 3 other porn stars on the year that got over 1 billion views. Now, this isn't just about the fact that this is a complete waste of time, it's degenerate behavior. That's bad enough, but this isn't just about productivity. This is really a huge issue. This is one of the biggest problems, I think, going on in our society right now. This is affecting our sex lives, our relationships, and it's changing the way our brain is wired. Porn shoots off as much dopamine as hardcore drugs, and it's a huge killer of marriages. 56% of divorce proceedings cite an obsessive internet interest in pornographic websites as a contributor to the divorce. Watching porn causes ED, it wrecks your testosterone levels, and it leads to these weird, unnatural sexual fetishes. Like trans porn was the 7th highest viewed category on Pornhub. This stuff is absolutely destroying our society at large, and it's destroying so many men, and it needs to become illegal. But I have little faith that that's gonna happen, so that leaves us on our own with a phone full of addictive, sexually perverse, life-destroying content. So how do you quit porn then? When I first started this channel, I made quite a few videos on NoFap, and in several of those videos, I tried to answer this question of how to quit porn, how to do this and make it last, and I'll be honest, I don't feel like I did that great of a job. When I quit porn, I was 18 years old, and I was fortunate enough that I hadn't gone down any really weird, perverted sexual rabbit holes, and so it wasn't an extremely difficult thing for me to do. Basically what happened was I noticed that I was starting to have sexual dysfunction issues, and I was fortunate enough that I intuitively grasped that porn was probably playing a part in that. And so I cut it out, and I was able to make a complete recovery. And because I was fortunate enough to get off this at an early age, I don't think I ever really had to consider that deeply an actual process for how you could quit this. But seeing these stats on porn use in 2022 makes me want to take another crack at this, because honestly, this might be the most important thing that we could fix, and it's something that each one of us could work on, because porn is absolutely destroying our society, and it's happening on an individual level, which is leading to the destruction of relationships and marriages, and that destroys families, and when you destroy the family, you just end up breaking down the entire society. So first, I want to talk about being seriously addicted to this stuff. If you're somebody who's wanking it multiple times a day, you're doing it at work, you're going to the bathroom during your class so you can do it, you have a serious problem, and I would honestly recommend you talk to somebody. And I know this can feel embarrassing, you know, I felt the same way when I first made NoFap videos in early 2020. It was just, it's, you know, it's kind of a funny topic to be talking about, but this stuff has become mainstream. I don't really know any guy who's sitting here defending porn as like a social good, the best thing that could happen to people anymore. Like, everyone seems to kind of acknowledge how bad this stuff is. And I think that you'll find if you talk to the right people, you won't be met with mockery, you'll be met with a level of respect for the courage it takes to want to actually improve your life and admit that you have a problem. In fact, it was like a couple weeks ago, I was talking to one of my coworkers, and I was telling him about this law that was currently being discussed in Congress right now, and the law was going to make it so that minors were not allowed to watch pornography in the US, and was going to require these porn sites to have very strict age verification rules in place. And he volunteered to me how great of an idea he thought that was, because he said at 10 years old, this stuff had started wrecking his own life, and he knew other people who were the same way. This is really something that is starting to get acknowledged on the mainstream, and finding help if you have a serious problem with this is a very good idea. And really, for anyone trying to quit porn, this is a good idea. And I'm not talking about going to see a therapist or going and checking yourself into rehab, but you know, as of the recording of this video, it is January 1st, 2023. So many people are doing New Year's Year's resolutions. I'm sure you have a friend out there who is probably struggling with porn use the same way that you are. What if you just broached the conversation with him and were like, yo, what if this year we decided to quit porn and we held each other accountable and we encouraged each other along the way? Go have the conversation with a friend. I bet you'd be surprised how many of them will be receptive to this idea, because I think every guy on some level knows this isn't how he wants to live his life. And a lot of times people are just waiting for somebody to take the lead so that they can go along with them and improve their lives. It's almost like working out, you know? A lot of people, especially when they get started off working out, they need to have a training partner because it just makes it more fun. It makes it easier to get into the routine. And then after you've had that training partner for a while, you can get to the point where you just start going to the gym by yourself. Now, the next thing you need to do is rid yourself of triggers. Luckily, when I quit porn, Instagram had not turned into the soft core porn site that it is today. And I could imagine that would be a lot harder to quit fapping off if sex is getting served up to you on every single social media platform. It would probably be a good idea for you to do a social media detox at the same time that you're quitting porn. And I'm not saying you have to give up social media forever, or that you even have to stop looking at attractive girls on Instagram forever. Although, side note on that, if you're the kind of guy who's out there watching porn a lot and you spend your time looking at girls on the internet, there's probably a good chance that you're not the kind of guy who would actually get one of those girls you're looking at on Instagram. And so you should probably stop looking at them, work on improving yourself so you could actually take them out on a date. But that's another topic. But the first 30 to 90 days when this process is gonna be hardest for you, it would be a good idea for you to make it as easy as possible on yourself. Now, the next thing you need to do is get a social life. Like, get outside the house, bro. I don't care whether you do anything than sit on your bed wanking it. And even if you work from home, I think it would be a good idea for you to consider renting one of those office spaces where you can go in and just to get out of the house, you know? Like, I don't care who you are. As human beings, we were not meant to sit in our house all day. It's just depressing. Now, the next step is to bring order to your life. Start exercising, clean up your room, start eating healthy foods, and waking up at a decent time. Basically, just stop.
For the past 30 days, I was studying on an average of 14 to 16 hours a day at IIT Madras. Unexpected thing happened. I worked till 3. But the truth is, I was not like that before. I'm an average student and I'm not that passionate about academics. Wait, that how did I manage to sit and study for 14 to 16 hours a day? We need to understand what makes our brain gets addicted to something. And to understand that, I took the example of how video games doing this successfully. I chose this children shooting down their parents, and even people go extreme. In simple words, whenever you do something and you like it, dopamine releases. As soon as when your brain creates dopamine while doing a
Pop pussy like she naked.
Question with that is, man, is like, where, I mean, you answered it a little bit, but where are you, and what do you, for people who support you and love you, like, what do you want to say to them?
Yeah, I mean, I got amends to make. I got a long list of people that I need to make amends to. And so what I want to say to those people is I get it. You know, it doesn't seem, you know, when it first hit, it was like, you know, I wanted to air it out and talk about specifics, and like, none of it really matters, you know. I hurt that woman, you know, and in the process of doing that, I hurt many other people, and many other people before that woman. You know, I was living my life, I was a pleasure-seeking, selfish, self-centered, dishonest, inconsiderate, fearful human being, and I was operating on a survival instinct. I wasn't operating as a friend. I didn't actually, all my loves and friendships were transactional. You know, I fucked with you because we worked together and I experienced great pleasure in that working situation. You know, when I look back at the friendships, people who dipped or don't talk to me, these were also part of the same kind of transactional relationships. I didn't actually understand what love was. You know, I didn't know what friendship was. I'm not trying to do a pity party thing. I was raised very
You would appreciate this.
specifically in my father would tell me stuff like, you know, your life is your life, son. You know, if you want to have a good life, you got to work real hard. You got to get into a good school. You got to get a good job. That'll lead to a good relationship. You have a kid and you put that kid in a good school, and you know, it's all up to you. And
Why you are serious?
भाई ऐसे ही भाई, आप बताओ क्या हाल है?
क्या नहीं अच्छा है, आपका क्या चल रहा है?
भाई मैं अभी बैठा हुआ था, बस वीडियोस देख रहा था यूट्यूब पे और ओमेगल भी चला रहा था. कुछ पढ़ाई वढ़ाई हुई नहीं सुबह से यार. डिप्रेशन में ही जाएगा आज का दिन लगता है.
अरे कुछ डिप्रेशन नहीं लेने का, टेंशन नहीं लेने का.
भाई एक्चुअली यार क्या बताऊं यार, बताओ ना कैसा चला तुम्हारा दिन?
भाई मेरा भी अभी पेपर चालू है, अभी मैं भी कुछ पढ़ाई नहीं कर रहा है.
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा.
इंस्टाग्राम यूज करते हो क्या?
मैं भाई अभी यूट्यूब पे लाइव हूँ.
ओके भाई, क्या आपका यूट्यूब का नाम क्या है?
भाई मेरा यूट्यूब का नाम रहा ये.
ओके, आई विल फॉलो यू.
अरे थैंक यू यार, थैंक यू. टेंशन नहीं, अगर नहीं भी करेगा कोई बात नहीं, बस अपना ख्याल रहने का, खुश रहने का, फैमिली की रेस्पेक्ट करने का भाई.
ओके भाई,
ओके
चलता हूँ.
बाय
बाय.
so that kind of
like yo,
it forced me into a position in my life where I was God. I was the person who was making shit happen, and I was using people like I was in a laboratory measuring shit and quite controlling. I mean, you know how I am on set too. You know, the way I was operating on set was the actor is the poet. You know, like you're in a solitary, you're on your own journey. That's a bunch of nonsense, but this is what I was living in. It's the shit I came up with. You know, the actors that I looked up to, the art that I was inspired by, they moved like the actor is the poet. I was moving like in my life like I was that way.
Right.
That does something to the way you operate in the world. Yeah. Some people are attracted to it because that confidence is attractive, and it feels comforting to be around somebody who you think knows something.
My nigga,
it's attractive.
Nice, you know,
it calms my own insecurity to be
like
around
a
person who is fully equipped.
You rock it well.
Thank you.
You're a sexy man.
Acquainted and acclimated to their craft or their mission in life. When somebody's really confident in something, it's
hey Vignesh, thank you भाई follow comment करने के लिए. Thank you भाई Vignesh.
It's nice to be around that energy because it feels like guidance. It feels like you can lean on it.
Yeah, they got to figure it out.
They got to figure it out, right? So I get why I empathize with why my way of doing shit was attractive then. And I remember who you were on that set. And I remember how fearful, how deeply insecure, you know, and and the way that you were moving on that show specifically.
For sure.
And the yearnings for David to hit you with certain compliments and shit. Like, you know, you needed validation from him,
for sure,
from us, from Kevin, more so from Kevin, you know, and like the military dudes, you constantly needed them to co-sign all your shit all the time, and I empathize with that, but that's not who I was. I was not that way in life. The way that I felt about craft and life.
You guys are small. I will go to jail if I talk to you guys.
In general was, I don't give a fuck what you think, you know? I don't care what you think about me. I had come from an environment with very little cheerleading going on.
Hey bro,
and so I created...
How you doing, man?
I was just trying to do better.
a sort of survival instinct where I would cut people out, you know, and minimize opinions. And the way that I would do that is I had to believe that my opinion was great.
Holy shit, you're right. I was stuck on the beard, but
You can give yourself a haircut. Look down to here.
Bro, it's okay, bro. I'm not like wondering why I'm not getting girls, but I'm just happy with my life, bro, honestly. Not looking for anything.
Bing bong.
Even for the boys, shave the unibrow. Put a little part between them, you know.
Yeah,
They should
okay,
be
bro.
Let
disconnect.
those puppies breathe a little.
Yeah.
Can you press skip, please?
Hey, quit calling me on your scam call center. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got a text.
Right, greater than everybody else's opinion around me. I remember talking shit to Spielberg. I mean, there was no director who ever directed me, you know, and I used to be proud of that. This is what I mean. Like the things that I looked up to and romanticized was I came up on a certain kind of music, a certain kind of culture, boss shit. You know, the guys I looked up to were not.
Knockers?
What, bro?
Speaker knockers.
No, buddy. I'm afraid I'm not familiar with it.
Asking you what you thought. I thought it was something. There was something sexy and punk rock about like these islands, these men who were islands,
Untouchable.
Yeah.
Is that possible? Is it possible to be that?
It's nonsense.
Yeah.
It's just not real. It's fiction. It's not a real.
Well, it's a blanket, right? I mean, it's armor.
I listen to Mickey Rourke interviews and I think, damn, bro, it's a sad boy. You scared man. You're so fucking scared, you know? And there's a lot of this tough guy armor shit, and I get it, you know? And I love Mickey Rourke, you know? He gives me hope. When you see a dude go for 12 years no craft and then come out and do the wrestler, a guy like me who's in my position looks up to shit like that. It gives me hope. It makes me feel inspired. Like, all right, if I'm patient for 12 years, maybe one day. Guys like me in my position need stories like that. And simultaneously, I listen to his interviews and I go, there's no evolution here. You're still shitting on Tom Cruise, bro. Like, why?
Right.
And it's insecurity, you know? And I was that way. I was so competitive. My acting wasn't collaborative. It was competitive. It was a sport. And my life was this way. And this is what created the insecurity and the jealousy that put hands on this woman. The man that was involved in that relationship was constantly comparing himself to other people. And I was a dishonest person in that I was wearing this mask. You know, I've gotten cold sores my whole life. Got them from my mother. I get 2 cold sores a year when I'm stressed out or I'm sick. I never told any of my sexual partners about getting cold sores. Never. And that's something, when you talk about like, how do you talk to these people who you done fucked over? Like, there's certain shit you can't clean up. You know, you can't make amends for permanent damage like that, you know? And so my daughter now has become this opportunity for me, you know, and every woman in my purview has become an opportunity for me to be like a stand-up dude. I used to open doors for women.
Fuck India.
I used to, you know, I was a good dude that way, but it was almost performative. It was almost like, I'll do this good thing so you can think I'm a good dude. But like in my own private life, when the doors were closed,
Your arm hurt.
Can I ask you a question? Are you okay? Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
How do we do good without expecting anything in return? How do we help someone but don't expect anything from them?
Because this is how life works.
Okay.
I never told any woman I had cold sores, you know? And so that's deplorable behavior, you know? When a woman would like me, it felt like so fucking foreign that I didn't want to fuck it up. And I always thought that a woman being into me was tied to this business. So like I think about why the business and the industry was so important for me, and it really has almost very little to do with the craft itself and the spiritual nature of what the craft can be. For a great swath of time, it had to do with, this is how I define myself. This is where I build my ego, so that I can go in and pursue these things that will, these feelings that will absolve me from the very real feeling that is continual loneliness, and the feeling of being not enough, and the feeling of constantly comparing yourself to other people, and what that does
What?
in a relationship is it makes you controlling and fearful and manipulative. To not tell somebody you get cold sores twice a year is a heinous manipulation, you know. But I never came up with a dude who was like, hey, this is how you navigate that situation. Nobody hit me the game like, hey, bro, you know, if you're really in love, you can have open conversations about uncomfortable shit and really get to like another kind of connection you don't even know about.
Or if somebody was trying to tell you weren't in a place to receive it anyways. I mean, maybe somebody tried.
I wasn't.
You know. And I get, look, you said, whether it was through, you know, drinking or whatever the fuck it was, that you hurt people that are close to you. That really resonated with me, man. And I'm just wondering.
I mean, people who put their whole shit on the line to like bring me back from the fire. You know, Alma Harrell is a great example of a person who, she took a gamble on me. You know, I was in rehab when we started having a conversation. I got arrested in Georgia for fighting with a cop, wound up in rehab, and didn't hear a damn thing about God, spirituality, personal growth, accountability. My whole, as soon as I got to rehab, was let me get back to this hustle. So I started writing a script in rehab. That's how fucking mad I was. I wasn't listening to no therapy. I had been therapized my whole life that it felt like, you want me to focus on the problem? Well, how am I gonna hack this focusing on the problem thing, and how am I gonna find my way back to this fucking hustle so I can get back to my ego? Because really all I cared about was my ego. I didn't give a fuck about getting well. You know, it was all about get well for you, get well for the camera, get well. And so, you know, Honey Boy was born in this kind of toxic milieu of false recovery.
Do you know what will happen if you read one book every week? Let me share some
false recovery masked as some kind of like upliftive product, and she was in on it because she thought that it was, I mean, I don't know what her motivations were, but it felt like she was doing kind of what you're doing here. When the conversation first started with Alma, it was like, man, we got to get to the root of what the fuck is going on here. You know, something wrong with you. You know, let's get well.
It was out of love. It was out of love. Like, y'all fucked with each other. You made stuff together. I love you. What can we do?
It wasn't let's build a product. It wasn't fetishizing product when we first. It wasn't like I was in an environment where she's like,
Academy Award.
Yeah, let me go hit you up for a script idea. It wasn't that. She hit me up like, hey, I'm in the same. I'm living a principled life also. Maybe you should get involved in this thing. And immediately I was on as a matter of fact, here's a fucking 60-page monologue I wrote about my dad while I was doing this fourth step, and right away it was almost like I manipulated her into directing this movie, and then that put me in a situation where I was even sicker, because then self-will is run riot in full, because now I'm at Sundance. We just done one Sundance, and I'm like thinking that I can that I'm the ultimate manipulative master. And I was telling other people who would come to me after seeing that movie, asking me about how to help, and I would tell them, well, you just got to paint with your pain, and all this fucking nonsense. It just wasn't. I had no spiritual life, none.
The fact that your spiritual life at that point was bankrupt, and the fact that came out of a transactional, less than weak part of you, if that's what you're saying here. Is it still possible that through the art that you made, that had inspired people or helped people? It still could have.
Oh, I know it has.
Fair enough. Okay.
And I don't think, and I don't want to get too spiritual, too much God talk in here, because I know that it landed like on deaf ears when I wasn't ready. But God uses people in many ways, and I've interacted with people, and Alma has interacted with people who that movie has had a hand in helping them find their way back to the route. And that's very fulfilling. So I can't deny that craft and art is a huge instigator.
Hello, bro. How
When
are
you think
you?
about Catholicism in full, beauty is.
Okay, where are you from?
Buddy, I'm from Jammu and Kashmir.
Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, bro. And live Punjab.
You live in Punjab, bro. How आपका दिन कैसा था भाई? आज का दिन कैसा रहा?
बहुत बढ़िया। आप यूट्यूबर हो भाई?
अरे भाई अभी तो मुझे अपना दोस्त समझो, यूट्यूबर मत समझो यार।
ओके ब्रो, ओके ओके। और भाई कैसे हो, हाल चाल ठीक ठाक?
हाँ भैया सब ठीक है भाई, आप बताओ भाई।
आप यूट्यूब का क्या चैनल है भाई?
अच्छा भाई ठीक है, यूट्यूब का चैनल ये रहा।
ओके ठीक है भाई, सब्सक्राइब कर लूंगा भाई तुमको। भाई कितने सब्सक्राइब है?
भैया सब्सक्राइबर्स हैं 2.46 के।
ओके भाई कोई बात नहीं, हौली धीरे धीरे हो जाएंगे ज्यादा भाई।
हाँ भाई।
और भाई हमने निकाल लिया, ये देखो भाई।
अरे वाह भाई।
भाई सब्सक्राइब कर लिया। और भाई भाई ये क्या कह रहे हैं, कैसे वीडियो डाल दो हमारे यूट्यूब पर?
अरे लाइव है भाई, आप लाइव हो यूट्यूब पे।
Is a huge part of the religion.
That's right.
Art has a huge hand
Music,
in
painting,
evangelizing
singing,
people and bringing them to God. And
Absolutely. But there's also been some real toxicity and some morally bankrupt things that use that art in order to draw people in for own personal gain and for weak parts
You like
of those
TikTok?
people.
which is where I was.
I like TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok.
Bro, actually I prefer YouTube because a lot of self-help videos are on YouTube and that can help you a bit.
And I think, man, when I think about you, you have this ability to inspire and to galvanize and ignite people. You can make people feel enormously strong and powerful and joyous. I've also seen you humiliate people.
Yeah.
I've seen you completely destroy the joy in an environment, and that's and I think these things, they're cousins, man. Like you cannot have one without the other, and it is a constant. I think it is a constant work. It is a constant mission. If you're going to try to walk the path where you're trying to live for positivity, you're trying to bring people up, because that doesn't go away. That shit will never ever go away, and it's constant work.
Yeah.
And the thing that I was tripping out on is you saying how you hurt people close to you. That's also I we talked about it. I definitely understand what it's like to hurt people. I've hurt people. I've hurt people in ways I'm disgusted with myself for what I've done.
Yeah.
I haven't hurt people that are close to me. I can't imagine what that's like, and I want to know. First, I guess I'm disgusted with myself for what I've done.
Yeah.
I haven't hurt people that are close to me. I can't imagine what that's like, and I want to know. First, I guess I want to know, how does that feel? Do you know that you're doing that while you're doing it, and what is the realization? Like, what does that feel like to know you've done that, or to know you're doing that?
Yeah, I mean, so there's two perspectives on it. There's where I am now and who I was then.
Yeah.
And I've had to do a lot of inventory on what was motivating this perspective.
Yep.
I come from and this isn't a boohoo shit either, but I know abandonment. I know deuces. And I would test relationships, and as a way of finding finding a barometer. I'd also I would hurt people just out of straight selfishness. No, there's no intellectual facet to it. Just the fact that, the fact that I cheated on every woman I'd ever been with. The fact that directors who put me on, who took me from nothing and put me on, I eviscerated in public life. Even on set, when I would sense weakness in another person on the other side of a scene, I would lean in. I wouldn't try to uplift nobody. I would try to lean in. And it was this constant trying to define myself in the world. It has to do with not feeling enough. All of this comes from fear. Just when I didn't understand masculinity in full. What I know masculinity to be now is stability. You can't really have stability if you're running shit. Because if you're just a dude, you know how infinitesimally fucking small we don't even know how deep Lake Michigan is.
Right.
What are you really running? You're running nothing. And so this idea that if you're bossing your life, you're always going to be in a tremendous amount of fear. And that fear,
denial, right? In denial, it's just not real.
Yeah, you have to. You have to deny anybody else's God. You have to deny God in full, and you have to. You fall into this Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens hole, where you're trying to intellectualize everything and rationalize everything.
You're fragile, dude. We're all fragile.
But then you get caught up with I hung out with philosophers and shit. I would backstop all my shit with these philosophies and fucking words. Play these word spells on people, and was using performance art to create this. Running word spells. Just a bunch of fucking nonsense. Really, at the end of the day. That all had to do with the same thing that hurt people. It was all about my propulsion system was fucked. My motivations behind the way I was living my life was wrong. I had to get a new propulsion system. I wasn't looking at life how can I be useful to other people. I wasn't looking to be of service to nobody, even including a director. I listen to Ethan Hawke sometimes, do interviews about how he looks at the craft, and he's always talking about my job is just to be in service of the director, and that's foreign to me. I remember being in service to a director and getting fucked over. I remember doing movies with certain dudes who led me down a weird path. And looking back at the project thinking nah, man, I was right all along. You were wrong. And then I stopped listening to any kind of director, and that innocent dude who came into the industry with all this wild, wide-eyed wonderment, that disappeared pretty quick. And then it became I got around some dudes who I saw work a very specific way. And I thought the answer to this having to rely on the infallible man that is the director is you just don't listen to the director and you just do your own shit because trust your instincts, buddy, because you're God. I remember calling my manager and saying what do you mean? I'm God. This is really where I was at because I thought my craft was God. I thought love, art, and God all meant the same thing to me.
And to somebody who's because I understand you're looking at it from two different perspectives. It's where you're at now and where you were going through it. So for somebody who may be going through that right now, or for somebody who maybe is close to somebody who is going through that, were there ever times of empathy? Were there ever times of realization? Were there ever times of shame when you're fuck, I just hurt that person? What would you say to that dude?
I'll tell you this. I remember being in Georgia when I was doing this movie with this kid Zach. You were there for part of it.
Yeah.
And I remember getting arrested.
Yeah.
And I remember getting out of jail the next day, and I remember sitting down with Zach, and there were moments of like lucid articulation from this man. And this happened to be one of them. And he said, this is my one shot. You make movies all the time, but this is my one shot. And you're ruining it for me. And to say that you don't feel that when it lands is not true. I felt it deeply. But it's what you do with that feeling. Do you change? And I didn't. I would always I always had an inch left. I always had some fucking wiggle room. Every time I would fuck up, there was always some wiggle. There was always a Brad Pitt on the phone. There was always some Sundance award.
Some next project.
There was always Alma. There was always there was always wiggle room to get back into ego. And this time, there wasn't no wiggle room. That's why I attribute this woman with saving my life, because she she destroyed any route towards that wiggle.
That's real.
It is real.
Rock fucking bottom.
Rock bottom. Bottom isn't when you experience the worst moment of your life.
Definitely
Bottom
not.
is when you change.
Right. It's when you actually, it's when you touch it, when you smell it, when it's right on your face,
Yeah,
and you feel it.
and
It's not about severity of what the thing is. It's about
what you do with it once it happens. So like, once it happened, I mean, when it landed, I forgot how to breathe, you know, because the subtext of the email was, your hustle's over, you know, and I forgot how to breathe. And the next thing I did after 2 minutes of sitting there, staring at a computer screen, was I went and loaded up a gun and sat at my table and was gonna kill myself. I was out of here. I didn't know what to do anymore. Like, all my ideas had failed, and I sat there for 2 minutes thinking, where's the wiggle room? I'd already used
What's my play?
Yeah, what's the play? And there were no options. It was like there was nowhere to go. It's not like I could go outside and get a Choco Taco and chill on the, you know, people driving down the street, rolling down the window like, fuck off and die, you know? This is where I was in the early days of this shit. So I didn't even want to leave my house. And I had a woman living in my house who wasn't my wife. And I was on my way to go do some movie I didn't give a fuck about, you know, just like momentum building kind of shit, you know, movies, no intrinsic value, just like I need something on the cards, you know, for this year, I need my 2 or 3 projects, one of these things. And I felt disconnected from all of it. And I wound up getting emails from certain dudes who, like you, were still involved in my life, even when it got ugly, you know, when it got chunky. One of those dudes was Sean Penn. And Sean's like, you need to call Brolin. And I called Brolin, and he told me he was going to this meeting online. Now, the gun is loaded. Like, I haven't left my sitting position, you know? And I wound up signing on to this meeting, and I heard one of the dudes who was speaking that night say, if you're new and you just entered, you know, you don't have everything you want right now, but you got everything you need right now.
Wow.
Now. And he did that for like 2 minutes. And the first minute I'm thinking, you can't spend the whole rest of your share just snapping your fingers and saying now. Like, this shit is ludicrous. And I went into this judgment, which is what my alcoholism sounds like. It sounds like criticality. It sounds like judgment. And so I'm in my judgment, like, you better say, and a gun is right here. I'm like, you better say something that's really gonna get me the fuck out of where I'm at. And after 2 minutes, like, I felt like a giggle start to rise inside of me, and I felt something like presence. I stopped thinking about the email, stopped thinking about my hustle. The gun almost disappeared, and it was like I'm sitting here on this Skype call, and I'm present for the first time in my life. And I wound up writing the dude in the chat box like, hey, bro, you know, I'm on the verge, you know, I'm about to kill myself. He's like, oh, okay, cool, call me tomorrow. Just like throwaway. You know, and I needed that. I had been enabled for so long in my life that if it was going to be me walking into this program and having a bunch of dudes pat me on the back like, hey, man, welcome home. We're glad you're here. I'd have been out again, because then it would have been more wiggle room. But the guy that I wound up running into was not having it. And he said, hey, man, meet me on the beach tomorrow. And I wound up here at Tower 10, and he said, I need you to get on your knees. And I'm like, I'm not getting on my knees. He's like, cool, deuces. He started walking away. I'm thinking, oh, fuck. But it also reified this, like, you don't care. Like, you care, but not in that way. You know, you're not going to pat me on my back. And I said, okay. I was so willing at this point because I was in so much fucking pain. And he said, get on your knees. And I get on my knees. He gets on his knees with me. So right away, it's no longer like this power play. We're like collaborating in this. And he says, I need you to stop the waves. And I'm like, man, listen, this Dr. Quinn medicine woman version of this shit ain't gonna work with me. You know, like, I get how this goes. He's like, you're either gonna write what happens, or you're gonna do a bunch of shit that you don't believe in so that your life changes. Because your issue is that you need to rationalize everything. And you're out of options, son. Like, what? If not this, what? And he was right. And so I started saying, you know, stop waves. And he's like, louder, man. Stop waves. And he got up off of his knees and he started walking away. And I looked back and he's like, nah, keep going. And he's like, keep saying it again. I say, stop waves. He's like, louder, bro. They're all the way over there. You're all the way over here. Stop them waves, man. And now I'm yelling and I'm having like an emotional, it almost feels performative now. Yeah. Now I'm like back in my bag, back to like the manipulating, hustling, like wiggle room finding. Yeah, watch this. Boom. Let me, and then I'm crying and I'm stop waves. You know, like I'm in the middle of like the greatest monologue of my life on this beach. You know,
Stanley Kowalski.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he puts his hand on my shoulder and he goes, you can stop all that, which made me like giggle, you know. I started giggling, and then he stood up and he put his hand on my left shoulder and put his hand on my right shoulder, and he said, "Welcome to AA." And it did something to me that felt like it felt like warrior shit. I didn't. It felt like man code, like G shit. It didn't feel like fluffy, cute shit, book reading, sitting in a. It felt like
you're on a mission.
Yeah, it felt purposeful, and it felt sexy. To be honest with you, sexy in the way that listening to Kevin Vance feels sexy to a young man who feels like a boy. It felt so rooted, and it wasn't emotional. It wasn't performative. He wasn't trying to manipulate me, but it was kind of hokey and like the knights in shining armor kind of hokiness that like made me feel like a little kid again. And he said, "I need you to go home and clear out, like clear the decks." And I'm like, "Nah, man, like for me," and I don't know if you felt this way, but every woman was the one for me. There was never a two. If you liked me, you were the one. Yeah. And that had to do with my insecurity and my fear. Like I didn't have there was no 2 or 3, or I was just dating like frivolously. It was always like this grand hair climbing up the super emotional, super romantic, super this fierce romance, you know, that I was searching for, desperate little boy shit. And he said, "You got to clear the decks." And I'm like, "I don't know if I can do that, man. You know, I feel like she's the one." And he's like giggling to himself, you know. This isn't my wife. My wife is not involved in my life at this point. And I got this one who's not the one who accused me of this shit, and she's just another person who's been trapped in my sphere of influence. And she's living in my house, and he's like, "Well, look, man, I'll tell you what, you know, you can keep doing it your way, or you can try some new shit, because the way that you're living, you're fucked. You're fully fucked. You're doomed," is what he said. You're doomed. That was the word. And I flipped to this page. He made me flip to this doctor's opinion we got in our book. And in the doctor's opinion, or how our book starts, it mentions the word doomed. And he's like, "This isn't like another AA guy. This is a doctor telling you you're doomed if you don't figure this shit out." And he goes, to put it in perspective, if you went to Kaiser Permanente right now, and they sat you down and put your, you know, x-rayed you and put your x-ray up on a light board, and you're looking at a picture of your clavicle, and the doctor said, "Hey man, you see that gray spot just above your chest cavity? You're doomed." What would happen to you is your asshole would suck, you would fucking start sweating bullets, and you wouldn't be thinking about the job that you got to get to, or the girl you got to hold on to, or where you're going to go for Father's Day, or what that you immediately, your whole life would get very small, and the only rational response to that kind of information is, well, what do I do? And if I told you to staple a dog's dick to your fucking chin and walk up and down the street picking up cigarette butts, you would do it. You wouldn't ask me why or whether you believe in it or nothing. You go look for a dog, you know? And so that made sense to me. He puts me in a car. He says, "I need you to listen to this Sandy Beach tape." Now at this point in my life, like I'm like barely hanging on. And I'm using this woman like drugs. You know, every time I need validation, I'm with this woman, and she becomes with the job, the mask of success that the job created for me, which kept me from like really looking at myself. She became that for me in the interim. And he's like, "You got to get rid of all of it. You know, there is no more work and no more romance for a year. You're gonna have to give me a year." And I'm thinking like, I'm not gonna be able to pull that off, you know. And right away I'm half measuring, and this is my wiggle room. I can't. And he says, "I need you to download this tape, this Sandy Beach tape." Sandy Beach is a big speaker. And in this
what was the speech?
Yeah, the speech was, he's talking about this Chinese farmer. And this Chinese farmer and his son, they're picking radishes about the ground, and they don't own the land that they're farming off of. And they're barely subsisting. They're giving 70% to the landowner. They're living off of 30% of these radishes. Their whole financial legacy is tied up into this workhorse. And one day, and the son is really working the land because the man is too old. And one day the workhorse runs up off the hill. He just fucks off. He's up the hill. And the son runs into the house and he shakes his dad up and he says, "Dad, you're not gonna believe it. This is a travesty. We're gonna die out here. I can't get these radishes to grow unless I turn this land over, and I can't move that hoe without the horse, and the horse is gone. This is a nightmare." And the old man, nonplussed, looks at his son. He goes, "I don't know what this is, son. I don't know if it is a nightmare. I can't call it." And the son thinks his dad's out to lunch, or like ambivalent, or something's wrong, or he's too old. And a couple days later, the kid is chilling on the porch, and he sees the horse running down the hill with 50 wild stallions behind it. And they run into the paddock, and he locks the paddock, and he runs inside, and he hits the dad. He's like, "Man, this is Fuck radishes. Like, we're rich, you know. We're in the horse business. We're in the horse trading business now. This is a miracle, Dad. I'm gonna go tell everybody we're trading horses now. And the father looks at his son nonplussed again and says, I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's a miracle. I can't call it. And a couple more days pass, and the son's trying to break these horses down, domesticate these horses. He doesn't know anything about horses. He's a radish farmer. So one of the horses ain't having it. And he rears up, kicks him in his leg. It's like 1400s China. There's no Kaiser Permanente. His shit is shattered. Yeah. They wrap him in some like tobacco leaves and sprinkle some mint on it. Go sit in a chair for a while. And he's wailing, and the townspeople hear about it, and the townspeople run up on the little shack, and oh man, what are you gonna do? You know, you can't domesticate these horses. You can't move this hoe. You guys are fully fucked. I don't know what you're gonna do, but this is pretty much the end, right? Like, this is a nightmare. And the old man says, I don't know what this is. He looks at his son's leg. He goes, I don't know what this is. I can't really call it. A couple more days pass. He's sitting with his son. He's trying to calm him down. He's in the middle of pain, and they hear this thunderous noise, and they look up on the ridge line, and they see 5,000 samurai on horseback running towards their little hut. And the commanding officer gets off his horse and says, give us your son. We're going to fight the Maoist army. And he looks at his son's leg, and he looks back at the samurai army, and he goes, I would, but he can't get out the chair. You know, he can't get on his, he can't. No, I can't. I would, but I can't. He's crippled. And the man gets back on his horse, and 8,000 men ride off to their death. And I listen to this tape, and I'm driving back from the beach back to where I'm living, and I get out of my car, and her bags are packed. She's on her way out. And old me would have written a haiku poem in blood and ripped my shirt off Hulk Hogan style, ran down the street and jumped over the fence, and that guy, climbed the hair up the thing. Yeah, boombox in the air guy. That's what I came up on. And something in me, from having heard what I just heard, what feels like this is now I can't get no lower. I hear this like I can't call it. And it becomes like this, the most diplomatic breakup I ever had in my life. And I say, what can I do? And can I get you a car? And she goes, no, don't worry about it. Go get well. And I go walk into my house, and I call my dude up, and I'm like, man, I think this shit is working. Like, man, this is a miracle. Like, this is the most diplomatic thing I ever. And I'm in my meeting, I'm telling all the dudes, like, I think this program's really working in my life, man. And then I got 5 days sober, and they're like, bro, I think you're pink clouding. Why don't you go to another fucking meeting, Jack? And I go on to this other meeting. Now, the whole time I've been doing this for the first 5 days, I'm on the phone with a lawyer. Like, look, this is true, but this isn't true. And I got receipts for this, and I'm not going to do this. And and I'm fighting tooth and nail. I'm on the phone with the agents, and the manager's like, listen, you got to believe me, and blah, 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 and doing that shit, right? And my sponsor's telling me the whole time, he's like, look, you're going to have to let go, dog. Like, the wind's at your back. Just let go. You know, all this, like, fighting and fuck around, like, let go, man. That's childish. And I'm hearing him, but I'm not doing it. You know, I'm on the phone with him, and I'm hanging up the phone, and I'm fighting this thing, and I got a lawyer who's like, you need to go to rehab for anger management. Because when you go to court, no AA is gonna mean shit, you know? Addicts had already juiced that route for so long that it don't mean nothing. We need clinical receipts that you're doing something, right? And I'm like, I'm not going to rehab. I've always really, like, cultivated my brown bagger, right? Like, I don't like wearing new shoes. So this idea that I was gonna pay all this money to go pet a horse and make a friendship bracelet, felt like, man, this shit's like, that's not sexy. You know, I found AA for real. I'm really in my shit now. I don't want to go to this rehab. And
especially you don't want to go to it because somebody's saying that's going to get you off. Look, it's all about the intention. You got to not stop. It's not about not saying the right thing because you're worried about getting in trouble. You say the right thing because you believe the fucking right thing.
It's that, and it's also, I'd already done this. Right. I'd already gone to rehab, wrote a script, and played that game. Right, you know, and to focus.
And it didn't work.
Man. It didn't work.
It didn't work.
To focus on like my childhood trauma isn't.
How are you?
Where my problem lies. My problem doesn't lie in what people did to me.
What led you to a place with more wiggle room, and now you don't have it?
And I'm telling him, nah, I don't want to do this, you know, and I'm telling the lawyer, like, I don't want to do this, and look, yeah, this and this, and I'm fighting all this shit, and I sign on to this AA meeting. This is where I'm talking about, like, miraculous shit started to pop off in my life. And my dude sent me there because his mom was taking a chip for like 37 years. And the woman who took a chip right after his mother was the woman I lost my virginity to, who when I was 19 years old, I held a knife to her neck. And everything in that moment, it felt like I heard God's voice say, I'm everywhere. You can't run no more. And like my whole fucking, all my planning and like all this like, just went gone. And that really happened, you know? And I remember it vividly. And I wrote her in the chat box like, did my dude tell you to come? Like, do you know this guy? And this guy, she's like, nah, I'm in here because my people are getting chips, you know? But it's good to see you. I knew you were on your way here. You know, I hope you get it this time. And so I call my dude up and he's like, bro, you gotta let go. You gotta let go in full. And I want to get in my car and I drive up to Utah. And I'm in Utah for 3 months. And while I'm in Utah...
What?
It allows me, it gives me, they take my cell phone from me. And if they didn't take my cell phone from me, I was never going to be able to deal with what I needed to deal with. I had never known how to pray because I could never cultivate silence. I had no absence in my life. Every unforgiving minute was full of some fucking scroll or some more like ego feed, constant, nonstop rotation of this ego thing and that ego thing and just constant fulfillment of like my own personal desires. And they took my phone from me. And just for that reason alone, I would urge anybody to go this route if you're in a situation like mine, just to get the fucking phone out of your pocket. And what that gave me was time to like really assess what had been my operating systems, what had been like the motivational force in my life, which was always me. It was always ego. It was always
even the smallest decision. The smallest decision to even go.
Unix कैसा है भाई?
Everything you eat,
everything was ego. Everything was ego. I would eat that not because it tasted good, but because it would do this or do that, you know. And so I was there for 90 days, and in that 90 days, I made a list of all these people that I had hurt, and I mean a bunch of shit happened, but I came out and just hit the ground running, trying to make amends, trying to right these wrongs. And this is also still a part of that. There's some people who don't want to talk to me, you know? Yeah. And I understand that. And so my purpose now is to be patient.
Is there an example that you can think of that you're, I don't know if the right word is proud, but if you feel good about sort of where you guys got to, or you feel good about the process in terms of making amends and there's growth.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of that?
Yeah. See, I didn't even know what amends meant, just like I didn't know what prayer was, but and let me find my way to what you just said.
Okay.
But like part of what happened to me up there was I would get quiet and I start hearing like loving thoughts for people that on paper were like villainous characters in my life. So I would get quiet and I was, you know, the first 20 thoughts is like, you got to do this, you got to do that, go here, go there, go get this, got that. And then there'd be like the 30th thought that's like, hit your dad up, tell him you love him. Now, me and my dad weren't talking, you know, and this is how my prayer life works now. It's like I get quiet, I hear loving thoughts, and then when I act on these loving thoughts, miraculous shit happens in my life. You know, I wind up in service, or and then I feel peace, but also like I get all these like incredible, like with my dad, I want to hit my dad up. Now here's a man who I done vilified on a grand scale. I put all this shit in the street, you know, and used him, juiced my dad as like, this is the reason I'm fucking foul out here. You know, I come from this wayward upbringing, and you know, my dad is the reason I'm such a fuck up. You know, he's a biker and a wild man and a criminal and a da-da-da and abusive and I wrote this narrative, which was just fucking nonsense. My dad was so loving to me my whole life. Fractured, sure. Crooked, sure. Like wonky for sure. But never was not loving. Never was not there. He was always there. He was always there.
Are you my boyfriend?
And I done a world press tour about how fucked he was as a man.
Love at this
Honey Boy is basically like a big woe is me story about how fucked my
actually recovering from अबे कैसे समझाऊं यार इसको
father is. And I wronged him. And remember getting on the phone with him and him being like, I never read this stuff in the script you sent, because I didn't put that shit in there, and I was bullshitting him. I was, just trying to get him to sign this fucking piece of paper. He thought I was gonna tell the story like Braveheart, I was gonna, and I didn't. I told the story like this dude who, and I turned the knob up on certain shit that wasn't real.
Unix.
My dad never hit me.
Have a very
Never.
good birthday, buddy.
He spanked me one time. And the story that gets painted in Honey Boy is like this dude was like abusing his kid all the time. My dad tried to keep me from smoking cigarettes. That's when he spanked me. He found me smoking cigarettes in the shower. He pulled me out. He spanked me. That's when he spanked me. But that wasn't my narrative, because it didn't position me as like this wounded, fractured child that you could root for, which is what I was using him for. And so when I got on the phone with him, I took accountability for all that and knew very clearly that I couldn't take it back. My dad was going to live with this certain narrative about him on a public scale for a very long time, probably the rest of his life. And I done put all this shit in the street, the shit that my dad got arrested for happened like 30 years ago, and I done brought it all back to the surface,
Like second grade.
And I told him, what I was doing, and it went just like, hey man, I'm in this program, I'm learning to be a decent man one day at a time. I know I done fucked you over here, I done put your shit in the street, and I know I made it harder for you to move around in the world, and I defined you as like this villainous character when really you were like an amazing dude for me in my life, and like, I really look up to you and the way that you move through your failings and the father that you've been to me. You've been a great man to me, and if there's ever anything I can do, be it blood, counsel, money, whatever, if there's ever anything I can do to make your life better in any way, please don't hesitate to let me know. And my dad was living in Costa Rica on his fucking cocaine farm at the time, and living with a bunch of Nicaraguans, and like, he said, I want to come home. And so I got him back, and when my dad was like me, I was a big pothead. And so here I am with I got like 10 months of sobriety. I'm about to go pick my dad up. I'm in a weed shop buying like $500 worth of weed for my dad, and sober. And I get it in the bag, and I show up at the airport, and my dad gets out, and I see my dad in a wheelchair. He's got COPD. Dude could barely breathe.
No.
And I wheel his ass over to the truck, and I put him in the truck, and I give him a joint. He sparks up, and he's coughing like he's got blood and mucus coming out. He looks like totally broken, And little by little, I start bringing him back to health. He's got eye problems. We fix the eye problems. He found out he's pre-diabetic. He hadn't been to a doctor in like 10 years. When we get to the doctor's like, if you smoke anything, you're gonna die. You got like 10% lung capacity. If you smoke anything or even are around incense, you might die. And my dad in the doctor's office looks at me and goes, I think I want to get sober. In the doctor's office, he looks at me and goes, I think I want to get sober. So I bring him into my fold. I bring him into the group. He starts going all this shit with me. We get on it together. That's probably like the crowning achievement of any amends that I made. My dad's got 5.5 months now, and he's working with other dudes, and like you carry the message that way. For my wife, I'll be making amends for the rest of my life. It's every day. Doing dishes is part of that amends I got to make. That's going to be a lifelong journey. A lot of these amends are going to be lifelong journeys. There's amends that people don't want to talk to me. I got to make a living amends. I got to find another way to be a service to the world in a way that takes all that energy.
भाई ये जो बंदा है ना, he's come from, इसने यार लाइफ में साइलेंस को एक्सपीरियंस नहीं किया. साइलेंस होता है ना जैसे शांति, तो उसकी वजह से इसे प्रॉब्लम्स आए, डिसऑर्डर्स आए, पैनिक हुआ करता था ये, और इन्हें लोगों में अच्छाई नहीं दिखती थी, काइंडनेस नहीं दिखती थी. ये कह रहे हैं कि ये पहले लोगों को यूज़ किया करते थे, लोगों को मतलब नेगेटिविटी देखते थे लोगों में, और उसकी वजह से इन्हें जब लाइफ इनके फेवर में नहीं रही, इनके हिसाब से चीज़ें नहीं हुई, तो इन्हें एडिक्शंस हुई, कोकेन एडिक्शंस हुई, इन्हें एंगर इश्यूज़ थे, इनके अपने फैमिली से रिलेशंस अच्छे नहीं थे, तो उसकी वजह से इनकी लाइफ में क्या हुआ कि ये प्रोफेशनली भी स्ट्रगल करने लगे। तो अराउंड जब इन्हें प्रोफेशनल स्ट्रगल्स आए, इनके करियर्स में जब प्रॉब्लम्स आए, तो फिर इन्हें रियलाइज़ हुआ कि इनको एज अ पर्सन, एज अ ह्यूमन बीइंग बेहतर होना पड़ेगा, मोर लविंग होना पड़ेगा। इन्हें प्यार क्या होता है, वो सब केयरिंग करना, लोगों का ख्याल रखना, लोगों की इज़्ज़त करना, ऊपर वाला क्या होता है, गॉड क्या है, अल्लाह क्या है, भगवान क्या है, ये उनमें पहले मानते ही नहीं थे। इनका विश्वास नहीं था मतलब। और अपने और हर एक से इज़्ज़त से बात करना वगैरह। बोला एक दिन ये सब मेरे ऊपर कर्मा होता है ना, कर्मा की तरह हिट किया। जैसा मैंने लोगों के साथ किया वैसा मेरे साथ होने लगा। फिर ये रिकवरी में चले गए। रिकवरी में क्या हुआ, इन्हें रिकवरी में जो इनका टीचर था, जो इनकी हेल्प कर रहा था, वो इनके साथ ज़्यादा हम्बल नहीं था। अगर ये कहते थे कोई बात, अगर कोई टास्क दिया जाता था इन्हें रिकवरी में, फॉर एग्जांपल कहा जाता था कि तुम 5 मिनट के लिए साइलेंस में बैठ जाओ या मेडिटेशन करो, तो अगर ये कहते थे ऐसा कि मैं नहीं करूँगा, तो इन्हें हम्बली नहीं कहा जाता था कि कोई बात नहीं, थोड़ी देर बात कर लो, ब्रेक ले लो। बट इन्हें फोर्स किया थोड़ा, मतलब इन्हें सपोर्ट नहीं, इन्हें पैम्पर नहीं किया जा रहा था, बिकॉज ही वॉज एन एक्टर। इन्हें समझाने वाला जो था वो जानता था कि इसके लिए थोड़ा सा हार्श होना पड़ेगा। तो उसकी वजह से इन्हें धीरे धीरे जब ये साइलेंस में बैठते गए, हम्बल होते गए, द एबिलिटी टू फील इमोशंस जो होती है, जैसे इमोशंस आप फील करते हो, अच्छे इमोशंस, पॉजिटिव इमोशंस, हर एक के लिए आप प्यार इमोशन एक्सपीरियंस करते हो अपनी फैमिली के लिए, तो वो इन्हें वापस से आने लगा इनकी लाइफ में। और इन्हें लगा कि ये इनकी ह्यूमैनिटी, जो ह्यूमन साइड है, वो वापस आने लगा। और ये लोग प्रॉब्लम से डील कर पाने लगे, इनमें पेशेंस आ गई, अपने डिज़ायर्स को कंट्रोल कर पाए और हर एक में अच्छाई देखने लगे, छोटी छोटी बातों पे बुरा नहीं मानने लगे। इनका ईगो था वो भी कम होने लगा। और उसकी वजह से इन्हें लगा कि इनकी फैमिली के जो रिलेशंस है ना, जो इनके अपने फादर और मदर से थे, खासकर अपने फादर से, वो अच्छे होने लगे। इन्होंने अपने फादर से 10 साल बाद बात की और पूछा कि अब मैं आपसे माफ़ी मांगना चाहता हूँ, मैं आपके बारे में गलत सोचता था पापा, मैंने आपको विलन की तरह बनाया जबकि आप ऐसे थे नहीं, आप मुझे बस बुरी चीज़ें करने से रोक रहे थे, बट मैं आपको एज अ विलन पोर्ट्रे कर रहा था। अगर आपको किसी भी चीज़ की ज़रूरत हो, फाइनेंशियली, इमोशनली, तो आप प्लीज़ बिना किसी झिझक के आप मेरे से, बिना किसी हेजिटेशन के आप मेरे से मांग सकते हैं। तो फिर जैसे ही वो हुआ तो इनके फादर भी इम्प्रूव होने लगे। उनने भी अपनी वो डॉक्टर के पास गए, अब अपने फादर को डॉक्टर के पास लेके गए। तो वो 10 साल से डॉक्टर के पास कभी गए ही नहीं थे, तो उन्हें भी एडिक्शन थी। तो जैसे ही उनने देखा कि लाइफ में थोड़ा इनका बेटा जो है वो सपोर्टिव हो गया है, काम हो गया है एज अ पर्सन इनका बेटा, तो फिर उनने कहा कि मुझे सोबर होना है, आई वॉन्ट टू बी सोबर एज वेल। तो फिर अभी तक यही है कि कामनेस, क्योंकि इनका करियर बहुत अच्छा रहा, लेकिन जैसे ही करियर में एक डाउनफॉल आया तो इन्हें एज अ पर्सन रियलाइज़ हुआ कि ये किस तरह से ट्रीट कर रहे थे अपने इर्द गिर्द लोगों को, मैन्युपुलेट कर रहे थे वगैरह। तो ये उसी बारे में बात कर रहे हैं कि मेंटल हेल्थ इम्प्रूव हो कैसे की इन्होंने, अपनी एडिक्शंस कैसे छोड़ दी,
and create something valuable for another person. I mean, I got amends. You know, that girl who was on that meeting. You know, I reached out to her. She was in the program, so she kind of knew what was going on, and that amends was made. Me and Alma had sort of made we bridged the gap there. We're not like talking every day, but there's been I'm making contact, communication little by little. You know, it's only been 597 days. I'm still at the beginning of this whole journey in my life, which is going to be for the rest of my life. And yeah, I go to every single person out unharmed, and I try to figure out where I can be of service to their life in any way that's possible. And yeah, sometimes it'll be like these really neon versions of it, like with my dad, and then sometimes it'll be, you know, Vanessa Kirby, right? Like Vanessa Kirby was on her way to go get an Oscar when all this shit landed, you know, and She's been supportive to me this whole time, but I remember she had to answer for me out there because I wasn't communicating. I wasn't like, because I didn't have nothing to communicate. I was still like, you know, like this little myopic litigator. My dude kept saying, don't say nothing, just shut the fuck up and start working, you know? And so I wasn't out there talking, but she was in the middle of promoting a movie. And she had this whole Oscar campaign that was set up for her, you know?
खाना लग गया तो गाइज थैंक यू फॉर वाचिंग द स्ट्रीम गाइज अब मैं लंच करता हूँ होपफुली आप सबसे और मुलाकात हो आई होप दैट थैंक यू सो मच फॉर बीइंग पेशेंट एंड अटेंडिंग माय स्ट्रीम थैंक यू गाइज थैंक यू यूनिक्स थैंक यू एवरीवन आप सब अपना ख्याल रखें फैमिली की रिस्पेक्ट करें और प्लीज़ आप भी ये वीडियो से हम सब सीख सकते हैं मेरा भी दिन प्लान नहीं जैसा मैंने प्लान किया था वैसा नहीं हुआ तो इसीलिए मुझे लगा अगर अब मैं डिसिप्लिन में कैसे आऊँ तो मैंने इसकी स्टोरी देखी फिर मुझे याद आया हाँ भाई जब मैं पढ़ता नहीं था मैं भी सभी को ब्लेम करता था घर पे बाहर जेलस होता था लोगों से तो इसीलिए मैंने वीडियो देखा आज क्योंकि बहुत ठंड थी पढ़ाई नहीं कर पाए सुबह तो आई होप आप सब भी से थोड़ा बहुत याद रखें और कोई बात नहीं गाइस अभी भी कोई कुछ चला नहीं गया हाथ से तो स्ट्रेस मत लें आप सब अच्छा रहेगा और फैमिली के साथ अच्छा स्पेंड करें टाइम और अपनी फैमिली से डेफिनेटली प्यार करें गाइस थैंक यू सो मच गाइस थैंक यू सो मच